In worksheet number 7, we are going to be practicing a street scene. And so what that means is we are going to be standing in the street and looking down the street as opposed to in the sky looking down like in the bird's eye view of the city. So you would have your vanishing point, everything converging to the vanishing point. So same rules are going to apply, just a different point of view. So in the packet, you have examples that you can look at of different street scenes. This one has a vanishing point off to the bottom left. This one has it more centered. This vanishing point is off the page. This vanishing point is a little higher. It's a residential scene. These are city scenes. Eventually, you are going to be doing your own imagined street scene where you can be really creative. And here are a couple of student examples of that. So you can see how involved and elaborate they got with the tools that they have learned throughout this packet. Another resource that is available to you in your packet is a step-by-step of a street scene, so that if you get confused, you can just glance at this and see how the process works. So let's get started. You want to make sure you have your ruler or a folded up sheet of paper, some sort of straight edge, side of a folder, anything will do. And you want to have a mechanical pencil or a very sharpened pencil and keep sharpening it as you go so we have some really nice lines. You're going to copy me exactly for this worksheet, and then when you do your own, you can change your horizon line, make it higher or lower, change where you have your vanishing point. But we are going to start right about here, so I'm a little more than halfway up. This line you're going to want to draw really light. I'm happening to draw it kind of dark so that you can see it. Let me zoom in. And then we're going to put the vanishing point kind of towards the middle-ish of the page. And then we're going to start with our street. So just copy about where I'm putting my lines. If you're off a little bit from me, that's okay. So 2 receding lines going back towards the vanishing point. And then we are going to draw 2 more lines for our sidewalk. So kind of take note of how far in these lines are. So it's quite a bit in. That one, a little bit of a gap there too. They're about even. So just replicate that. And then the first trick I'm going to teach you is called the size and space variation formula. And this formula can be used for anything that has identical endings of things, or they're identically spaced apart. And so when it comes to the sidewalk, we could guess on how wide the sidewalk tiles would be. It would be wider, and then they get skinnier and skinnier and skinnier as they go back. Or we can use this formula to gain accuracy. So that is exactly what I want you to do in this worksheet. I want you to use this formula. And so to set up this formula, so again, it's the SS formula, size and space variation formula. You have your 2 receding lines, and then you find where you want your first tile to be and where you want your first tile to end. So we have to have 2 lines. So make yours about where mine are. And then we have to find the middle of the sidewalk. So instead of breaking out a ruler, I'm just kind of looking at this line, finding halfway, and putting a dot. I'm going to connect that dot to my vanishing point, but I'm going to do it with a dotted line, so I know that this line is going to be one that's erased eventually, and do that very lightly. So the way that this formula, the size and space variation formula, works is you start off at the beginning, which would be here, so I'm going to call that a B. I'm going to call this an M, beginning and middle. I'm going to line my beginning and middle up with my ruler, And wherever the ruler crosses on this other side is exactly where the next tile would start. So if you had a photograph of a sidewalk and they were cut evenly all the way down, this would work. So my B and my M are lined up, and I make a little mark for where it crosses on the line on the other side of the sidewalk. So it looks like that. Beginning and middle, and then make a mark on that side. Wherever that mark is, I turn my ruler, and I'm going to do a perfectly horizontal line. Make sure it's not at some tilt, that's just nice and straight. And that's the same thing for here. It just needs to be nice and horizontal. Compare it to the edge of the paper. No weird angles. Then what you do with this formula is you take it and you move it up a row. So this would be my new beginning and my new middle. So this and this need to be lined up. And I'm gonna line it up on those two. Wherever it crosses, that's where the next one is gonna be. So we went from there to there, there to there, and you keep moving it back a row. This is my new beginning and my new middle. Line those up with the ruler. Wherever they cross, that's where the next tile is going to be. Take it back a row, my new beginning, my new middle. Wherever it crosses, it's right where the next tile would be. So I can take that back quite far. My new beginning, my new middle. Just back a row. You can see how close they get together. You would start with your beginning, crack, and then I would make it identical to that. You draw the line down the middle, and then you try to do the new beginning to the new middle. Where does it cross to find the next? So practice that really quick. Finding the middle. I kind of like to put a dot so it's easier. I can just connect these two dots back to the vanishing point. My beginning and my middle. I could go this way to find the next, or I could go this way to find the next. It should end up being identical. So either way, so this is my first one, my new beginning, my new middle. Wherever these cross, that's right where my next tile piece would be. Moves back a row. My new beginning, my new middle. Wherever it crosses, that's right where the next one would be. So we move back a row, back another row. My new beginning, my new middle. New beginning, new middle. So the SS formula, beginning to the middle to find the next. Depending on what we do with our city, we may go back a few more tiles. So you can go ahead and take both sides back a little farther if you like, because we never know where we might want to end our street. Okay, so that is called the size and space variation formula. So you always have to set it up with your two lines. Find the middle. And then it's, zoom out a little bit, you can write this down. The beginning, to middle, to find next. Very helpful. If you have light poles, you can do it instead of this way, the lines would go upwards. Those things I can demonstrate for you at another time. But any identically spaced out fence posts, we could have done this with a bird's eye view of the city when we had the windows going back down to the vanishing point. Very helpful and very accurate formula.